American football. It is the greatest game ever invented. It is the game of chess where all the pieces are moving at the same time. And there is nothing like playoff football. Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns. Let's take a look at how all those chess pieces were moving on Saturday. Because here, we don't tell you what you're seeing. We let the film tell us what we're seeing. And what we've seen a lot of this season are teams playing around with their pass rush a little bit, trying to confuse the young Brock Purdy. But here it's the 49ers that play a little bit of a game on the Seahawks' first third down of the ball game. On the left side of the defensive line, the 49ers rush with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and Charles Omenihu. But the right side of the offensive line is where the 49ers start playing some games. We see Dre Greenlaw up at the line of scrimmage, and Samson Ebukam back where you would think the linebacker would be. And in fact, Dre Greenlaw does drop back to his traditional linebacker spot, and Samson Ebukam rushes the quarterback. But the 49ers throw in one more wrinkle here. They send Fred Warner on the blitz. The goal of this is to try to get one-on-one matchups with their pass rushers. But the Seahawks leave Kenneth Walker in to help with pass protection. Now, one thing that we've talked about on this channel is when you have a rookie running back, they don't always do such a good job with pass protection. It's something that has to be learned. And in fact, when he sees Samson Ebukam come late, he steps up, and the result is you have a double team on Samson Ebukam. He never sees the rush of Fred Warner, and this leaves Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead one-on-one, and Eric Armstead wins. Now, what's the last piece of the puzzle? All the receivers for the Seahawks are covered. Geno Smith has nowhere to go with the football. It's the good coverage on the back end that helps this sack to get home. The 49ers take over, and when this game started, the conditions were very wet and rainy. In addition to that, you have a young rookie quarterback making his first ever playoff start. Maybe the 49ers should start off with a run. Nope, Shanahan takes to the skies on the first play of the game. And here we get a great look. You can actually see the ball slip out of Brock Purdy's hand. So what do they do on the next play? They go right back to the air. With a pretty simple play, the 49ers put 4 of their eligible receivers on the right side of the formation. Naturally, that's where Seattle sets up their defense. Brandon Ayuk takes the space the defense left behind. On the next play, San Francisco lines up in a run formation. But nothing's ever that simple when you're trying to defend that 49ers offense, is it? In fact, here we see Christian McCaffrey lined up in the wide receiver spot, and Deebo Samuel lined up in the backfield. And the 49ers are going to give it to him on a run play. "19 yards for Brandon Ayuk on the pass and 22 yards for Deebo Samuel on the ground, and the 49ers would gash the Seahawks with these chunk plays all day long. Here the 49ers pull Spencer Burford and Kyle Juszczyk for a running play to Christian McCaffrey. And the Seahawks defense reacts pretty strongly to try to plug those holes. And that's unfortunate, because this isn't a running play. It's a pass to Jennings. He comes so wide open, Brock Purdy literally doesn't believe his eyes. He hesitates, and as a result, the pass falls incomplete. So the 49ers are forced to settle for a Robbie Gould field goal, and they strike first, going up by a score of 3-0. Now I'm showing you this ensuing kickoff because we see a pretty good return and the ball comes almost out to the 40-yard line. Just file that away for later. Facing a key third down, the Seattle Seahawks call a pretty good play. Geno Smith fakes the handoff to Rookie of the Year candidate Kenneth Walker. And naturally, this draws a lot of attention from the 49er defense, allowing Geno Smith to slip out the backside with the ball. This play fails because DK Metcalf apparently wanted no part of trying to block to Sean Gibson. Now, because it's a designed run, it's technically not a sack, but it is a loss of yards, so the 49ers get the ball back, but here they're backed up. So here Kyle does the sensible thing and he calls a run. They pull George Kittle, and immediately we can also see Trent Williams firing off into the second level. And in fact, right away we realize that the Seattle Seahawks could be in big trouble here because the 49ers have more blockers than there are defenders in that area. And that's exactly where Christian McCaffrey is heading with the football. Christian McCaffrey is off to the races and he almost takes this thing 70 yards, 68 yards officially on the play. And when you leave a hole that big for any running back in the NFL, let alone one of the best running backs in the NFL, they are going to absolutely torch you every time. So this time around, the 49ers would like to punch this thing in for a touchdown. They don't want to settle for another field goal. So Kyle calls a play with a lot of options. They start off with a faked Christian McCaffrey, and as you would expect, this sucks in the defense. Next, Brock Purdy looks to his right to Brandon Ayuk. He's covered. So he resets his feet and comes to the left, and there's nothing there. And by this time, the pass rush is starting to threaten. So he moves in the pocket, and at the last second, he sees Christian McCaffrey come wide open. It is so hard not to make the comparison to Joe Montana. So we're going to try our best on this channel, but when's the last time you've seen a quarterback going through his progressions with this kind of movement in the pocket? It's a great play, and the score puts the 49ers up 10-0. So after two big 3-and-outs on defense and going up 10-0 on the offense, it sure looked as if the 49ers were ready to blow the Seahawks out of the building. And of course, that's what 49er fans wanted all week long. But I think deep down, in our heart of hearts, if we're being honest with ourselves, behind closed doors, in the dark, with nobody around, we can admit that Pete Carroll was going to have his team prepared. We knew that all along. He's too good of a coach. He's a defensive mind. He has the ability to motivate his team, and he kept them loose and relaxed all week. And darned if the Seahawks didn't respond. Let's take a look at how they did that. They lean on their potential Rookie of the Year, Kenneth Walker, and they would hand the ball off consistently on first down, and the 49ers would rally for the tackle and he would gain 4 or 5 yards. But now the Seahawks, when they would get to third down, would only be facing 3rd and 5. A very manageable situation to pick up with an easy play to DK Metcalf, for example. Over and over again they would do this. They would stick with the run, gaining only a few yards every time, but then by the time they got to third down, it was 3rd and manageable. As we move into the second quarter, they would continue to matriculate the ball down the field until they had a scoring opportunity. They would cap the drive off by calling another play to take advantage of San Francisco's great defensive line. Here, Charles Cross allows Samson Ebukam to penetrate and then pins him to the inside, allowing Kenneth Walker to use his speed to get to the outside. And just like that, the Seahawks have responded. Maybe a little holding by DK Metcalf at the end of that play, but I think the officials very reasonably decided that Charvarius Ward wasn't going to make that tackle. So the Seahawks make the score 7-10 San Francisco, but it would be Seattle's defense that was really overly aggressive on this day, and Kyle Shanahan took advantage of it. Now I stopped the video here right at the snap, and Brock Purdy hasn't even had time to execute a proper play action fake yet, but already the defense is aggressively pursuing to the running play, or what they think is the running play. It's the run fake. And the 49ers also send Ray McCloud and Brandon Ayuk deep. So Seattle's in big trouble here. Quandre Diggs is completely caught in no man's land. He doesn't know what to do. He just runs backwards. And Brandon Ayuk takes the space the defense left behind. And once again, it's another chunk play, this time for 23 yards. Here, Brock Purdy takes a look to his right and sees that nobody's open. So he resets and comes back to the left, and everybody's covered over there too. But what he does see is a pretty big lane to run the football, so he takes off. And he high steps the linebacker. Are you kidding me? One thing I want to make sure I mention in this video is how awesome Mike McGlinchey was. It's the same question we ask every week. Is this rookie for real? And it reminds me of when Ricky Watters high-stepped the Dallas Cowboys in a playoff game. And isn't that fitting? Now, after getting gashed for 68 yards by one of the best running backs in the NFL, it's understandable that the Seahawks would focus all of their defensive attention on Christian McCaffrey, but this would really cost them in this game because the 49ers took advantage of it over and over and over again. But the other thing we see on this play was that Kyle Shanahan would call a route concept that the 49ers would use over and over again in this game, which is to send one wide receiver deep, in this case Brandon Ayuk, and have another wide receiver cut across, in this case Deebo Samuel. Now Deebo comes absolutely wide open here, and you would think that Brock Purdy should probably take this throw. But he notices that Mike Jackson is playing an outside technique, and with Quandre Diggs scrambling to pick up Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy also knows that there's nobody to stop Brandon Ayuk from scoring a touchdown to the inside, except Brandon Ayuk, who, for some reason, stops on this route. Why would he do that? Well, the answer is he thinks that this ball is going to Deebo and he's getting ready to block. He's trying to do the right thing, but by stopping on the route, Brock Purdy has already thrown this football, and the result is an incomplete pass. The drive would continue with the run-pass option. The design of the play is for Deebo Samuel to go to the left. And with the defense reacting that way, the quarterback has the option, if he wants to throw this ball to Christian McCaffrey. There's just one little wrinkle, which is that Nwosu does a great job of staying home on this play. But Purdy just flips it right by him. Here we see one of the rare times that the pass protection would break down for the 49ers in this game, when Poona Ford, who's had a bit of a quieter career as it turns out, has Brock Purdy dead to rights. Purdy's able to put a move on him, but then he's wrapped up by Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin gets a sack in his retirement ballgame. Congratulations to Bruce. And that would be the only sack of the game. So the 49ers are once again forced to settle for a field goal, but they increase their lead, going up 13-7. The Seahawks would get the ball back, and once again would be facing a key third down, this time a 3rd and 4. And here they use a clever bit of strategy to get one over on the 49ers. Typically, you wouldn't take a deep shot on 3rd and 4, especially being down in a tight game. You want to pick up that first down first, then take your shots on 1st and 2nd down, but make sure that you're moving the chains and keeping possession of that football. So, Charvarius Ward sits on the route, and as a result, DK Metcalf blows right by him. The Seahawks strike back, and it's enough to give them the lead, 14-13. All right, the teams would trade a couple of punts, and the Seahawks have the ball, and they're facing a 3rd down and 8, and there's only 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the first half. And here, I think it's the Seattle Seahawks that make a mistake with their strategy. Pete Carroll wants to go into the locker room at halftime with the lead. He's up 14-13. He doesn't want to make a mistake right before the half. So here he gets ultra conservative and he runs the ball on 3rd and 8, punting the ball back to the 49ers. That sequence only took a few seconds, so there's still 1 minute 8 seconds left, enough time for the Niners to try to get a field goal before the end of the half. And Kyle Shanahan goes back to his bread and butter. He sends Ray McCloud deep, and he has Brandon Ayuk cut across. It's a gain of 31 yards this time, and when we look at it from this angle, we see that the route concept is so effective, the 49ers don't even bother with the play action fake. They just go right to the skies. And what do you need to throw the ball deep? Time. And common sense. Once again, Purdy goes through his progressions and he sees Deebo Samuel has separation, so he gets him the football. Why didn't he throw the ball to a wide open Ray McCloud for a touchdown? Well, he hadn't gotten there in his progressions yet. The Seahawks left 2 receivers open on this play. And it's a shame they didn't play better defense on Deebo Samuel, because Ray McCloud would have been Brock Purdy's next read on the play. As the drive would continue, we get to a play where Brock Purdy would have to throw this ball away, but here we see a pretty blatant late hit out of bounds on Brock Purdy and no call from the official. With just 23 seconds left, the 49ers are going to get one last crack at the end zone before halftime. And we see Deebo Samuel making a move to the inside. And right at the same time, Brock Purdy executes a pump fake. The goal is to get Mike Jackson to bite on the fake, allowing Deebo Samuel to come wide open for a touchdown right at the end of the half. But Mike Jackson is well coached. He understands the game situation. He knows a completion to the inside doesn't hurt them, but a touchdown does, and he does a great job of staying with Deebo Samuel all the way to the very end and just barely breaking up this pass. That is good defense by Mike Jackson. So it's up to Robbie Gould to knock it through, and with just 13 seconds left, the 49ers reclaim the lead, 16-14. But here it's San Francisco's turn to make a pretty big error in strategy with the Squib kick. And remember that kickoff I showed you that went to the 40-yard line? The 49ers were concerned about a return right before the end of the half. So they Squib kick it, but you can see this ball is fielded at the 25. You allow the return to the 40 in exchange for time running off the clock. That's the idea. The problem is there's way too much time here. 13 seconds is too much time. There needs to be probably 8 seconds or less, and your opponent has to have no timeouts. The Seahawks have a timeout, so this was just a wild decision by San Francisco to do this. I can't understand why they did it. If anything, you just need to kick this ball out of the back of the end zone, and then you don't have to worry about a return, and then your opponent gets the ball at the 25. You save 15 yards in crucial field position in this situation. So Seattle's going to have a shot here, even though there's only a few seconds left. And Geno has a play that might get to the sideline, but he's tempted by all the green grass in front of him, and with the luxury of a timeout in his pocket, he can take it. And then Jimmy Ward hits him late after he slides. That would be a 15-yard personal foul, and that would be a huge mistake, as it does put the Seahawks in field goal range. The 49ers have compounded their mistake at the end of the half here. Now, why would Jimmy Ward have done that? I really don't know. The only thing I can think of is, Brock Purdy got hit late and there was no flag, and maybe the 49ers are trying to protect Brock Purdy, trying to stand up for him a little bit. You don't really see that in football. It's a bit more of a baseball mentality. I don't know if that's what it was, but in any event, Jason Myers is going to have a shot at a long field goal here. And remember back to that Thursday night game when he kicked a 50-plus yarder into the open end in Seattle. He has the leg to do it, and he knocks it through here, and it's the Seahawks that go into the half with the lead and all the momentum in this game, 17-16. Wow. So the Niners go into the half trailing 17-16. We talked about how good of a coach Pete Carroll is. He had his team ready to compete at the very least. But the 49ers have an excellent coach too in Kyle Shanahan. He was asked what he said to the team at halftime about that series of mistakes to close out the first half. And he said, I didn't say anything. They knew what they did wrong. What he said was, during the week, he didn't allow his team to buy into their own hype. They knew it was going to be a close game, and they talked about that over and over and over again, so that when this moment came, the team would be ready for it. He said he expected them to go out in the second half and go down and score a touchdown and respond. And that's exactly what the 49ers did. Let's take a look and see how they did that. So the 49ers find themselves in a tight game, and Brock Purdy has thrown for a lot of incompletions in the first half. So Kyle Shanahan calls a very simple play to get him an easy completion to start the second half. They start with a fake handoff to Christian McCaffrey. The defense shades to that side, and we see Kyle Juszczyk pretending to block for the run fake, and then he's just going to turn around and catch a pass. Only a couple of yards, very simple play, but it gets Purdy that easy completion to start the second half. That was cute, but now it's time to move the ball. Shanahan goes back to the well. This time it's George Kittle cutting across, and this is a great throw by Purdy to fit that ball in between 3 defenders like that. Very nice. The 49ers keep driving down the field, and Brock Purdy keeps making his reads. Looking to the right, seeing nobody there, and then coming back to his left and seeing Deebo Samuel have a little bit of separation. Woolen can't stay with him, Barton can't make the tackle, Mike Jackson misses the tackle, and then he gets yards after the catch. And then at the end, Abram twists his knee on purpose and tries to hurt him. No flag on the play, and the 49ers would be outraged at this play, and this would really fire the team up for the rest of the second half. Unbelievable play by Abram. Absolutely outrageous. You know, I'll be honest, if you've played football, you know that sometimes your coaches might say, hey, this guy has a sore ankle, wink wink. But that was absolutely blatant and egregious. That was ridiculous. You never try to straight up hurt somebody on purpose. Come on. The 49ers are highly motivated to punch this thing in. How's Brock Purdy's quarterback sneak? Well, it's getting a lot better. He's getting lower. In fact, he converted a sneak earlier in this game. But here he gets stood up. And this is just good defense by that Seahawks defensive line getting a great push. But fear not, Niner fans, it's Christian McCaffrey to the rescue. Touchdown, 49ers. San Francisco comes out of the half, goes right down the field and scores, just like Kyle Shanahan expected them to do. Now they line Robbie Gould up for the extra point. They don't go for 2 here. They just take the point after touchdown, so they go up by 6. 23-17. But the Seahawks have driven all the way down and they're threatening. But this time it would be their turn to make a strange mistake in this game. First of all, the play. You see Tyler Lockett is open. They're just trying to get him a few yards here. But check out the offensive line. Geno Smith has plenty of time to throw, but there seem to be missing a few people. There they are. They are way upfield here. I can't imagine why they would do this on a pattern to Lockett. Normally, you would go downfield on a screen pass or something like that. They're way out of position here. In fact, it's a penalty for illegal man downfield. Seattle has to back up. Now facing 3rd and long, the coverage is really good on the back end for San Francisco. Nobody's open, and it gives that pass rush time. And you see Nick Bosa coming from one end and Charles Omenihu coming from the other end. And Geno Smith fumbles the football and Nick Bosa falls on it, and we have our first turnover of the ball game, and it is 49er football. Wow. San Francisco knew this was a critical point in the ball game, and they rushed Geno Smith with 4 defensive ends. Let's take a look at Nick Bosa, because he gets a great push on this play. In fact, Geno Smith has to slide in the pocket. And right at the same time, we see Charles Omenihu coming around, and from this angle, we get a great look at him poking that football out and causing that fumble. The 49er offense moved at will against the Seahawks defense in this game, and they did not need to scheme up very many plays. They go right back to one we looked at already. They put 4 eligible receivers on one side of the formation. Seattle sets up their defense over there, and this time it's Deebo Samuel taking the space the defense left behind. As the drive continued, we would enter the 4th quarter, and Elijah Mitchell got 0 carries in the 3rd quarter. And here, Kyle Shanahan calls a run for him, and I thought this was a great play call. It reminded me a lot of the Arizona game in Mexico City, when Elijah Mitchell Didn't get a lot of carries early in that game, but then Kyle Shanahan used him to pound the opposing defense late. And that's exactly what the 49ers do here, and the Seahawks defense reacts to this. And that's unfortunate, because this isn't a running play to Elijah Mitchell. It's a fake. The 49ers are going to pass it to Jennings down the sideline. And Jennings makes a great adjustment to the ball and comes up with the catch, 33 yards on the play. Brock Purdy is fearless, and I love how he throws the football. But if we're being honest, he let this ball hang to the inside. He needs to put this ball to the outside down the sideline. If he does that, Jennings has a touchdown here. But make no mistake about it, Brock Purdy is a great quarterback, and here we see another example of his playmaking ability. Starting off looking to his left at the route of Brandon Ayuk. He's not open right now, but he eventually would come open. Purdy tries to do the right thing and stays with it, but the pass rush gets there, so he has to spin, and at the last second he sees Elijah Mitchell wide open. The 49er players all say, if you get open, Brock Purdy will find you. And he hits Elijah Mitchell, and the 49ers go up big now, 2 scores in this game. And the crowd is on fire. Now remember, they were only up 6, so here they go for 2 to try to make it a 14-point ball game. They fake the handoff to Christian McCaffrey, drawing in the defense, and we can already see that Brock Purdy has George Kittle one-on-one, and the defender's back is turned. The 2-point try is good, and the 49ers go up 31-17. And the 49ers would get the ball back. And here, Kyle calls another simple play that we've looked at on this channel before. Fake toss to the right, and we see not George Kittle, but Deebo Samuel sneaking out the backside, coming around the other way. And check out Tanner Muse. He tries to recover. In fact, he tries to grab on and hold Deebo Samuel here. But he's got to switch directions. And as we said on this channel before, once you have to switch directions, you've already been beaten. Deebo comes wide open, Brock Purdy gets him the football, and now check out Brandon Ayuk blocking 20 yards down the field, and this would be the block that would spring Deebo Samuel for a 74-yard touchdown, and this offense is unstoppable. And again, I'm going to say this carefully, but these are the kinds of things Jerry Rice used to do for this organization. The Niners would go up 38-17. It's the 49ers' 4th consecutive game of 37 points or more with Brock Purdy at the helm. And 6 out of their last 7 games, they have scored 33 points or more with Brock Purdy at the helm. You guys won't believe what happens next. Down 3 scores and needing to push the ball downfield quickly, Geno Smith looks for Tyler Lockett on the out. But Deommodore Lenoir is in great position, and he's reading the quarterback the whole way, and he comes up with the interception, driving the final nail in the coffin for Seattle. Alright, we have to look at one last play, and you already know what play it is. The greatest incompletion you will ever see. The 49ers start off with a fake to who else? Christian McCaffrey. They want the defense to react in that way, and it's essentially the same play we just looked at. Deebo's going to try to sneak out and come out the other way, but the Seahawks defense is ready for it. He's not open. Purdy has to scramble, and right here he sees Brandon Ayuk working the back of the end zone. He's got a defender in his face though, so watch Brock Purdy hit him with the pump fake and then get the ball to Brandon Ayuk, who drops the pass. Oh my goodness. What a spectacular highlight touchdown that would have been for Brock Purdy's career. But don't worry, we'll talk about that later. Take another look and just enjoy. What a throw. Are you kidding me? Is this rookie for real? So the 49ers end up settling for a Robbie Gould field goal instead, and that would essentially close out the scoring in this game. Seattle would end up scoring in garbage time, but it turned out to be a meaningless touchdown. The game was already over. And the 49ers just blew away their opponent in the second half of this game, and it really turned first on that play by Abraham twisting Deebo Samuel's knee, and then it turned in game with that fumble by Geno Smith. Geno Smith had been playing so well, but he just wasn't able to tuck that ball away. Nick Bosa recovers the fumble. He gets the credit, but never forget, it was Charles Omenihu who knocked that football out and completely turned the tide of this game. And we spend a lot of time on this channel talking about that great defense. But this game was all about Brock Purdy. You know, I had told my wife leading up to the game that Brock Purdy had been playing great in the regular season, but the playoffs are a whole nother animal. But that I wouldn't be surprised if he elevated his game in the playoffs, just because that's the kind of thing we've seen from him so far. And we've all seen throughout the week the dizzying array of statistics. I think my favorite one was that his quarterback rating in the second half of this game was a perfect 158.3. A lot of folks are saying that Brandon Ayuk dropped Brock Purdy's legacy play, but I've got good news for you guys. Brock Purdy's legacy play has yet to be written. A lot of those statistics were comparing him to folks like Joe Montana, Dan Marino, and I even saw one comparing him to the great Bart Starr. Well, we've said on this channel up to this point, it's probably too early to crown him, right? If you want to crown him, crown him. But I think we can go ahead and put that crown on him. No, not as the next Joe Montana or Dan Marino or Bart Starr. Yes, it's still too early for that, although the future looks really bright for this kid. But I think we can definitely crown him as the new franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. It's unbelievable how this story is playing out. And you may wonder, how in the heck is that possible that this has happened? Well, there's a lot of I told you so's going on right now in league scouting circles. Folks who wanted to draft him, but I think a lot of teams outsmarted themselves. They said, well, he's not really tall and he doesn't have the strongest arm and he'll fall, he'll become undrafted, and then we'll just sign him. Well, it was Brian Greasy of the 49ers who pounded the table in that draft room and said, no, we cannot risk waiting until he becomes a free agent. We need to use a draft pick on him. And it's, lo and behold, the 49ers who ended up with this kid. Unbelievable. The goal right now is to win in the postseason, get to that Super Bowl, and win that sixth championship that the 49ers so desperately crave. They're right there. They have all the tools to get it done, including at the quarterback position. All right, let's get rid of that crown. I'm grateful I found it with my son's stuff, but now it's time to talk about the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. The greatest rivalry in sports rekindled once again. And I gotta be honest, the Dallas Cowboys, and particularly Dak Prescott, looked good in that game against Tampa Bay. In fact, Dak Prescott had the highest quarterback rating of Wild Card Weekend, even higher than Brock Purdy. But you know what? The Dallas Cowboys are facing a big challenge this week that nobody is apparently talking about. They played a Monday night road game and now have to play a second road game just 6 days later. That's very rare in the NFL. The schedule makers try to make sure that that never happens. And this is for a very good reason. When it does happen, the team that has to go on the road on Monday night and then play another road game just 6 days later only wins that second game 20% of the time. Now, again, I haven't heard anybody talking about this. To me, this is a huge disadvantage that the Cowboys are facing. I think realistically, the NFL is going to have to look and maybe reevaluate doing a playoff game on Monday night in future seasons. So how do I see this game playing out then with the Dallas Cowboys? Well, remember back to last season, the video we did, that game came down to coaching. If you remember last year, the Dallas Cowboys led the league in penalties. That showed up in that game. And at the very end of that game, there was a crazy decision to send Dak Prescott on the quarterback draw with no timeouts left, and they ran out of time. Well, I think this game comes down to coaching again. You have the same two coaches, right? Mike McCarthy and Kyle Shanahan. But the 49ers also have one thing different this time around. That's right, their secret weapon, Brock Purdy. He could be the X factor in this game. All right, folks, I want to thank all my new subscribers. This channel continues to grow and grow. If you are new here, we do this every week. We break down the film, we tell the story of what happened in the game, and we look forward to the next week. And this year, we're fortunate to get a lot of extra weeks to look forward to. I also want to take some time to thank the people who have really gone the extra mile to help support this channel. I say it every week because it's true every week. You guys humble me and just blow me away with your generosity every week. I really don't even know what to say. I'm just honored, and thank you so much. It really does help. It really goes a long way in helping me to do these videos the right way, so I can really invest my time in them and give you the quality that you deserve. Thank you very much. And of course, if you're one of the folks who's been shouting this channel out on Twitter or elsewhere, I want to thank you personally for that too. It does help to get extra eyeballs on the channel. Thank you. All right, it'll be Niners and Cowboys. What a matchup. Next Sunday, Divisional Round winner goes to the NFC Championship game. And you know, after that game, we will be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.